I want you to understand that your primal brain lies to you after a breakup. It tricks you into chasing the past, not the person. And that's why going back with your ex rarely works. However, there is a very rare exception to the rule, which I'm going to share towards the end of this video. But let's look into why getting back with your ex-partner rarely works out. There are 4 key points that I want to cover in today's video. So let's get straight into it. Now, the first point is understanding why your primal brain lies to you after a breakup. There's what's called the dopamine illusion. And what that is essentially your primal brain will start to filter only the euphoric memories from the honeymoon stage of that relationship or the good times, right? It only wants to focus on getting you back with your ex-partner. It wants you to hang on to hope. And that's why it will remove all the negative experiences and keep you focused on all the positive experiences of that relationship. You got to understand that your primal brain doesn't understand breakups. It doesn't understand that person broke up with you and no longer wants to be in a relationship with you, right? Women have option these days. So we've got a primal brain from millions of years ago and we're trapped in modern day society. So essentially think of it like this. Your primal brain hasn't had a software update in thousands and thousands of years, right? It doesn't understand that we're living in modern day times where women have options and they can leave you, right? So essentially we need to convince that primal brain of yours that she's no longer in the picture, right? And that's where you start to heal and you start to focus on rebuilding yourself. But essentially your primal brain wants to keep that attachment to her, right? And that's why it's very tricky. It only focuses on the positive experiences. It doesn't focus on why the relationship ended. So right now you're finding yourself in a position where it's very hard to move forward because your brain is trying to keep you attached to the past and you're trying to come to terms with the breakup. And there's a massive confusion there, right? So you got to understand that your brain right now is not serving you. That's why you need to start to take control. And that's why I make videos like this, so I can wake you up to your senses, because I've also been through this myself. When my 7-year relationship ended, I also tried to get back with her, right? My primal brain was trying to get me back with my ex-partner that broke up with me. And the more I kept trying, the more I kept trying to win her over, the more she kept running further and further away from me. So essentially understand that your primal brain doesn't know what's best for you right now. It only knows one thing, and that's to hang on to the past and all the positive memories of that relationship. We also have what's called an inbuilt survival mechanism, right? That's where we try to escape pain by romanticizing about the past. So right now it's trying to keep you attached to the past. It's trying to keep you attached to all these memories. Okay, because it wants you to survive. It doesn't want you to go through the pain of healing and moving forward and coming to terms with the breakup and taking responsibility, right? Because the easy thing to do for your brain is essentially stay in this survival mechanism. So to get back with your ex-partner is the easiest thing to do. And that's why we tend to go that route, because it's the easiest thing, right? What's hard is actually changing. What's hard is actually rebuilding your identity and rebuilding yourself as a man, and healing and moving forward in the right direction, right? That requires being uncomfortable. And your brain doesn't want to be uncomfortable. It only wants comfort. It only wants to survive. So it only will bring you back to the past. And unfortunately, by this stage, your ex-partner has left you. She's already come to terms with the relationship not working out. And that's why women come to terms with the breakup a lot more sooner than men, right? Because they're able to process their emotions whilst being in the relationship with you. And us men, we start the healing process once the breakup has happened, right? Because more than likely, you probably got yourself complacent in that relationship. You weren't expecting her to leave because you're in a delusional state. And when we're operating through our lowest self as men, we generally find ourselves thinking, oh, she won't leave us, right? But then eventually she comes to terms with the breakup. She tells you she no longer wants to be in the relationship with you, and that completely sideswipes you, right? So understand that right now you're in a survival mode. Understand that your primal brain is keeping you attached to the past because it wants you to go back with it. And there's what's called an emotional blueprint in every relationship. That's where your nervous system remembers all the fights, all the adversity, all the low points during that relationship. So as men, we're generally logical creatures, right? We don't want to remember the past. We want to just move forward and progress in the relationship. However, women are wired differently. And what I mean by that is this. Me personally, I tried to get back with one of my ex-partners. I was in a 4-year relationship earlier in my 20s. And I remember when I got back with my ex-partner, everything was amazing for the first month of that relationship. You know, it felt like old times. However, after month one, we started to go back in time, right? That emotional blueprint that she had engraved within her was essentially bringing back all the past arguments, fights, and all the low points during that relationship, right? So I had to break up with her because she kept bringing up the past. And you got to understand that even though us men can be logical and we want to get back with our ex-partner and move forward, women are wired differently. So my ex, she would bring up all the fights and all the low points. Remember when you did this? Remember when you did that? And we weren't able to actually progress, right? So essentially getting back with your ex-partner, you're going to find that the first month will be probably fine. But then after that, her nervous system will start to kick in. It will start to remember the fights, right? They don't operate like us men where we can just focus on the future and move forward. She's always going to be tangled in the past because that's how her nervous system is wired, right? Because of all the negative experiences throughout that relationship. And the second point is therapy cannot restore her genuine desire towards you. I want you to really understand this, right? Because therapy can only restore peace and mutual understanding between two people, but you cannot rebuild primal attraction. You can't get a third person to talk your ex-partner into wanting you again. Okay, once a genuine desire dies, no third person can ever bring that back. Okay, a woman's genuine desire is something that she feels internally towards you. Okay, once that goes, once that dies, once she starts to lose respect for you, she no longer can just magically get that back, right? Just because someone says, hey, I want you to start to get feelings for him again. I want you to start doing these activities together and try and bring back the past. Very rarely does this work, right? I know this firsthand. I genuinely know couples that have been through problems, gone to therapy, nothing's worked in that sense, okay? Please understand therapy is not going to restore her genuine desire towards you. Understand women's psychology. They stay in love when they feel it, not when they're convinced, not just because someone told them to feel that way, right? Understand women are completely different. They're emotional creatures. Okay, that desire, once it's completely lost, it is very hard, if not damn right impossible to get back. Okay, trust me, you cannot force a woman's desire towards you. She either has it or she doesn't have it. When she doesn't have it, that's where she loses her interest towards you. That's where she stops sleeping with you. That's where she starts to disrespect you. That's where she starts to step into her masculine energy, right? Because she can't remain in her feminine energy. I won't get fully into detail about genuine burning desire in this video, but I want you to understand that this is something that can't magically just happen. A woman either has her desire towards you or she doesn't, right? It's very simple, and therapy cannot restore her primal attraction to you. Please understand and save yourself a lot of money and headache. And the third point is wanting her back shows you haven't healed. If you still crave what broke you, the person that left you, that's not love. That's having an emotional attachment towards the other person. And now you're operating from the old identity, a wounded, desperate, needy identity. Okay, so you're not thinking clearly. You got to understand that when you put in the work and you rebuild your identity, that gives you growth. That gives you the freedom from not needing her at all, right? And that's when you enter true detachment, when you start to focus on yourself. Okay, when you start to rebuild a new identity, because a healed man doesn't want the old dynamic back. Let me give you an example. When my 7-year relationship came to an end approximately 3 years ago, I was completely broken. I was beyond broken. And my primal brain kept hanging on to the past memories of that relationship, right? So that's why it was very hard for me to move forward, because I kept giving in. I kept trying to hang on to hope. Every time I tried to chase her, she'd run further and further away from me. So once I actually detached by focusing on rebuilding a new identity, rebuilding a new version of myself, a man that I was proud of, I worked in silence, right? I really acknowledged solitude. And when I did this, I started to fall in love with my new identity. So I rebuilt myself, and then my ex-partner tried to come back into my life. She wanted me back. However, I didn't want to go back to the old dynamic, because I knew for a fact that I'm going to go back to the old identity if I get back with her in that relationship, right? There was far too much ruin in that relationship for it to ever work out. And I already knew at this point that I was operating through my higher self. So I was viewing everything through a different lens, right? I wasn't viewing it through the old identity lens. So that's what gave me the power to say, no, I don't want to get back with you. I'm actually happy with my life. I'm actually in a new relationship and everything's amazing in my life. So I don't want to go back to the old wounds, right? And that was very hard for her to comprehend. But at the end of the day, I don't care because I put in the work. I rebuilt myself during solitude and I'm protecting my identity. So understand that once you do the work, you're not going to want to go back to the old dynamic, right? You don't want to go back to all those past memories that you think are so exciting, but your brain is only holding on to those positive experiences because that's all it knows. But if you really think about it, if the relationship was meant to be, if this was meant to be your woman for that next chapter of your life, do you really think that she would easily give up on you? Do you really think that she wouldn't see your full potential even if you got complacent in the relationship? She wouldn't leave. She would see the good. But she's obviously come to the conclusion that she no longer wants to be in a relationship with you. And it's okay. It is what it is. We can't force people to have a desire towards us, right? At the end of the day, that's just not how life works. And that's why if you still crave the person that broke you, the person that left you, that's not love. That's you having an attachment to her. That's you attaching your identity to the relationship, to the other person. And that's not healthy. So I want you to look at this breakup as a reflection of, okay, you know what? What areas do I need to improve here, right? And get to work, start to focus on rebuilding yourself. Because being in a relationship should never come from a place of, I need this person in my life. I need a relationship. You should want those things, right? But at the end of the day, you shouldn't need those things. So craving a person that left you is having an emotional attachment to her. Essentially, she's like your drug at this point. So I want you to understand that wanting her back shows you haven't healed. You're viewing everything from the old identity lens and you're not thinking clearly, right? That's why I say you need to focus on healing. You need to focus on rebuilding so you can look at things through a different lens. You can look at it through the new identity lens and then you can see things for what they are. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, once you do the work and you rebuild, you won't want the old dynamic back. Just like I mentioned with my ex trying to come back in my life, I didn't want her back. At the start, I'll do anything to get her back. But then when I put in the work and I utilized the power of solitude and she tried to come back into my life, I didn't want her back. I put in so much work to rebuild this new identity that now I had high self-worth. I wasn't going to throw that down the drain because I knew for a fact that getting back with her will only bring back old memories, old wounds, because I know that her nervous system was attached to all the fights and all the low points that we had during that relationship. And at the end of the day, I wasn't going to be her therapist. I wasn't going to sit and guide her and help her and help her get through these things, right? I didn't want to do that. I was already in a new relationship. I wanted to start off fresh again. I took responsibility for all my faults and I put in a lot of work to rebuild. So I wasn't going to jeopardize that new identity that I rebuilt by getting back with my ex-partner, right? So I want you to look at it through that lens right now. And that's why I want you to view things from the new identity lens. I know it's very hard to see that right now because you're at a very low point, but I'm telling you, when you utilize the power of solitude and you put in the right work, you're going to get to a point where you're going to view things completely differently. You're not going to want to go back to old wounds, right? You're going to have a value on the identity that you've rebuilt. So understand right now, you're not thinking clearly, but that's why you have to take advice from others that have been in your position, that have gotten through on the other side, because I know right now it feels like you're going through a massive shift in your life where you more than likely have tied a lot of your identity to this person and that relationship. And that's why it's very hard to break free from, right? But once you do get your power back by detaching and focusing on yourself, I'm telling you, you more than likely won't want to go back to the old dynamic of that relationship or get back with your ex for that matter. Now, the fourth point is the power dynamic never resets. So let's say hypothetically you guys got back together. On a subconscious level, she knows that because you've chased, you've begged, maybe you've lost your frame in the relationship, she's going to essentially hold power over you, okay? Not because she wants to, but because she has to. Because once you've been rejected or she's lost her genuine desire towards you in the relationship, the polarity will shift. Okay, and that power I was talking about is essentially this. If you got back with her, because she's seen you not capable of leading the relationship, that's why she broke up with you in the first place. If she was to get back with you, she's going to step in to her masculine energy, okay? Because you've shown that you're not capable of leading, so she's going to start to lead. And when you make a woman step into her masculine energy, that's where she's going to put you through a bunch of shit tests, which you don't want to go through. She's going to resent you. She's going to disrespect you, right? Not because she wants to, but because she's now got to lead a relationship that she's not meant to lead. You're the man. You're meant to lead the relationship. You're meant to take charge. You're meant to be in control. So if she was to get back with you, which part of you probably wants her back right now because you're not viewing things through the right lens, you're going to be walking on eggshells. Okay, you don't want to be with someone who's going to be resenting you, who's going to be disrespecting you, right? You got to watch everything you say. You don't want to be in this position, right? So getting back with her again, understand that if it comes from a place of desperation and neediness and you've lost your frame in that relationship, if she gets back with you, she's going to be leading the relationship and you're going to be walking on eggshells, and that's exactly what you don't want. And the fifth and final point I'd like to share is the only time where it works, the only time where you can get back with your partner, not only get back with her, actually progress in a relationship with her, actually thrive. And this only will work with the right type of woman, right? It's very rare. In a day and age where women have options, it will take a specific type of woman to hang in there, to see your future potential, right? Because there are some good women out there that hang in there. So if she still respects the man she once fell for and sees you becoming him, sees you becoming more grounded, more driven, emotionally secure, she might reawaken that attraction to you. Now, I want to give you an example. Let's say that when you entered that relationship, you held frame, you were leading the relationship, you had purpose, and then something tragic happened, something out of your control, and you got complacent. Now, because she's seen who you were when you entered the relationship and she was attracted to that identity, she's hanging in there, right? So she's telling you, look, I miss how things used to be between us. I miss who you used to be. And then something clicked in your mind and you're like, you know what? I need to take responsibility. I need to fix myself. I need to rebuild myself so I can be a better version of myself, which will then carry across in my relationships. And let's say if you rebuilt yourself, you rebuilt a new identity. You focused on rebuilding your mind, your body, your purpose, your drive in life. That's gonna more than likely reawaken the attraction that she once had for you, right? Because you're putting in the work. It's gonna take time, but a good woman will hang in there. A good woman will more than likely stick with you through the tough times. So understand that you can rescue this relationship, but it takes the right type of woman. And I want to give you an example of a client that I actually helped who now has rescued his relationship and they're actually in a better position now, right? And the reason why he came to me was because he lost his internal fulfillment. He lost himself, he lost his purpose. He didn't know who he was anymore. And that was really affecting his relationship. So his partner, who was a very understanding person, hung in there, right? He reached out for help. He reached out to me and she hung in there because she's seen the good side to him, right? She sees his potential. So he put in the work. He worked with me for about 4 months and then they got back with one another, right? And they're actually getting married very soon. So he's been with her for approximately 10 years, but she saw all the changes in him, right? That reignited the attraction back towards him. And not only that, because he was changing himself in such a significant way, she started to change herself. She started to better herself. So they both basically grew during this time, right? And they got back with one another. But as I said, it takes a rare type of woman, right, to hang in there, to see that potential. But like I said, you can rescue a relationship if you're with the right type of woman. If you've let yourself go and you got complacent, you can fix things, you can turn things around. It's not guaranteed and you shouldn't do it just to be with the other person, but you need to do it for yourself, right? And that's why I say you have to focus on rebuilding yourself during this time. Forget getting back with her, right? Focus on rebuilding yourself and then decide, okay, do I actually want to be with this person now that I view things through a different lens, now that I'm a new identity, now that I'm no longer attached to her, now that I've rebuilt a strong relationship with myself? Is this truly what I want? And that's where you'll be able to find the answers out, right? Once you put in the work, once you sit in solitude and actually go through all the negative emotions, sit with it, and actually rebuild and rebuild a man that you're proud of, right? And maybe you might get back with her, maybe you won't. But at the end of the day, I don't want to leave you with false hope. I know there's a lot of videos out there saying, you can get back with your ex and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I want to be real, right? I want to help men and give them the real truth, because I've given you the points of why it rarely works out. And then I've also given you a bonus point of where you could potentially rescue that relationship, right? But I've also told you it takes a specific type of woman to hang in there. So I hope this video has helped you. If you're currently going through a breakup right now and you want to rebuild yourself, or maybe you're in a position where you got complacent in that relationship or your marriage and you want to rescue that marriage and you want to focus on rebuilding and getting yourself aligned again, I can help you get there. I can help you rebuild. This is exactly what I've done for myself, for other clients, so I can help you do the same. So if you need that help, reach out. You can click the link down below and you can book a free one-to-one coaching call with me, and I'll see if you're the right fit for my program. So I hope this video has given you some sort of value, because I've been through this for the majority of my life. So this is something that I really understand. If you're new to my channel, you can hit the subscribe button. It really helps me, keep making more valuable content to help men out on their journey. If you like the video, give it a like. If you're going through this right now, drop it down in the comments. You can also reach out on Instagram and send me a private DM. But look, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.